नमस्कार, हेलो एवरीवन। मैं सुकन्या आज शाम एक बार फिर आपके लिए लेकर आई हूँ एक नया जैमपॉट अड्डा का एपिसोड, जिसमें होंगी कुछ मजेदार गपशप और कुछ गाना बजाना। इस एपिसोड में मैं आपको मिलवाने वाली हूँ हमारे ही शहर की एक ऐसी हस्ती से जिनका ताल्लुक बॉलीवुड फिल्म जगत से है। ये एक ऐसा नाम जो जुड़ा हुआ है कई लोकप्रिय फिल्मों से, जैसे बैंड बाजा बारात, खाई पोचे, रॉक ऑन, लंच बॉक्स, शकुंतला देवी, फैन, भूतनाथ, सुपर 30, रजनीकांत अभिनीत तमिल फिल्म पेटा। She is none other than Bollywood's well-known costume designer and stylist Niharika Bhasin. From Jamshedpur, Niharika has carved a name for herself in costume designing with several awards in her kitty. करेंगे कुछ बातें निहारिका के साथ, पर उससे पहले चलते हैं आज के परफॉर्मर मानस भट्टाचार्य, जो हैं एक गायक और संगीतकार। इनके कॉम्पोजिशंस पर गा चुके हैं कई जाने माने कलाकार, जिनमें शामिल है कुमार शानू, अन्वेषा दत्ता गुप्ता, राघव चैटर्जी, मुनुमाई भट्टाचार्य जैसे प्रसिद्ध नाम। करते हैं एक छोटी सी गपशप with Manas. Welcome, Manush, and thank you so much for coming to our episode of the Jampot Adda. It is an honor to speak to you and have you perform for our audience. You are a composer, a singer, you're a musician. How did you begin the journey in music?
Uh, when I was 4 years old, I started my journey. My guru, Sri Anjan Das, I started learning my music from him. And approximately almost 16 to 17 years, continue, I learned Indian classical music and light music from him. And then later on, I learned from Chandrakant Apteji, Indian classical music. And this how I continued my journey. My mother is a singer, my father is a tabla player, and I have been inspired through them also. And presently, I am working for DBMS English School as a music teacher and composing songs for films and albums also.
You have composed for Kumar Shanu, Anvesha, and many other such reputed artists, and also given background score for telefilms and some films. How has been your experience in this kind of in the industry?
It was a really fantastic experience because working with Kumar Shanu, he's a legend, and Shanuda is really a very great personality. And working with him, it was a really mind-blowing experience. It was a really mind-blowing experience, and almost I think he had sung 6 to 7 compositions of mine. And my first work with Kumar Shanu was with my own brother, Monojit Goswami. He's my cousin brother. He's a very good lyricist in Kolkata, very known lyricist. Through him only I got to know Kumar Shanu. And my first work was for an album named as O Ma. It is in a Bengali uh, mm, film, for a Bengali film actually. So that was the first album, and from that time I began my journey.
So, working with somebody like Kumar Shanu, has it been a learning experience for you?
Yeah, it was a very good time for me because many things I got to know from him also, like how to sustain, like as I'm a singer also. So when I sing as I'm an Indian classical singer, so we do a lot of murkis and a lot of tans. Whenever we sing a normal song also, we sing with different moods in a classical type. So he told one day that this is okay, but Sanuda said that देखो मानस मुड़की तो बहुत अच्छा तुम देते हो. तो सानुदा एक्चुअली मेरा नाम मुड़की कुमार बोल के तो मतलब बुलाते थे, अभी भी बुलाते हैं मुड़की कुमार, बिकॉज मेरा कंपोजिशन में मेरा जो फर्स्ट गाना था शानुदा के साथ, इट वाज आई थिंक दुर्गति नाश करे एलो रे आज एलो दुर्गा माँ। इट वाज अ बंगाली सॉन्ग फॉर दुर्गा पूजा। दैट टाइम उस गाने में ऐसा एक कंपोजिशन था मेरा, ऐसा उसमें मुड़की था, तो वो शानुदा को भी थोड़ा-सा झटका टाइप का लगा कि इस तरह का काम तो हमसे नहीं होगा, ये गाना तुम ही गाओ। तो मैं बोला, दादा ये तो आपके लिए है। बोले, मैं गाऊँगा तो ये मैं अपने जैसे गाऊँगा। सो ये जो जर्नी है, मतलब उनके साथ जो जब मैं स्टूडियो में रिकॉर्ड किया, तो उस समय मुझे बहुत कुछ पता चला कि खाली हर गाना में क्लासिकल डालने से ही नहीं होता है। कुछ गाना ऐसा भी है जिसको जो आम पब्लिक के लिए हम लोग को छोड़ देना चाहिए। तो आम पब्लिक को लेके हम लोग को चलना है। तो उस मतलब उसी दिन से मैं जब भी कंपोज़ करता हूँ, मैं यही देखता हूँ कि आम पब्लिक को क्या चाहिए। आम पब्लिक को जो चाहिए, उसके हिसाब से आई ट्राई टू कंपोज़।
Who have been your idols? आप किससे इंस्पिरेशन लेते हैं म्यूजिक इंडस्ट्री में?
देखिए इंस्पिरेशन के बारे में मैं क्या बताऊँ, मैं तो बचपन से मेरा इंस्पिरेशन सिर्फ़ एक ही जन रहा, वो है नोचिदा। नोचिदा इज़ वन ऑफ माय, यू कैन से ही इज़ गॉड टू मी। कोलकाता के रहने वाले हैं। फुल नेम इज़ नचिकेता चक्रवर्ती and he is also a very good composer and a very good lyricist also. And उनका गाना आप अगर सुनोगे तो आपको लगेगा, he sings basically जीवनमुखी गान। हम लोग बंगाली में उसको बोलते हैं जीवनमुखी गान। तो उनका गाना, उनका वे ऑफ स्पीकिंग, उनका वे ऑफ टॉकिंग बोलिए या वे ऑफ कंपोजिशन बोलिए, मुझे बचपन से मैं बहुत फॉलो किया। एंड स्टिल नाउ आई लाइक हिज सॉन्ग्स, आई लाइक हिज कंपोजिशंस वेरी मच। और मैं एज अ आर्टिस्ट मैं उनको अपना बहुत बड़ा आइडल मानता हूँ।
आज क्या सुनाएंगे आप ऑडियंस को?
गाने तो बहुत है, मैं सुनाऊंगा। मेरा एक कंपोजिशन है, मैं उस कंपोजिशन के बारे में भी थोड़ा बता दूं। इट इज बेसिकली सेमी क्लासिकल कंपोजिशन बेस्ड ऑन डिफरेंट रागास, 2-3 रागास को मिक्स करके मैंने उसको कंपोज किया। और वो बंजारा बोल के एक फ़िल्म है, जिसका डायरेक्टर है इंद्रा। ही इज़ फ्रॉम मुंबई। ये जो गाना है, ये जो एल्बम है, इस फ़िल्म में टोटल हमारा 4 सॉन्ग्स है और चारों बहुत मेलोडियस सॉन्ग्स है। इसमें से जो मेन टाइटल ट्रैक है, ये दिवाली में रिलीज़ हुआ और आप लोग इसको सुनिएगा। बंजारा इस फ़िल्म का नाम है। सारे डिजिटल प्लेटफ़ॉर्म्स में ये अवेलेबल रहेगा। और ये गाना जो है, ये गाना मैं आपको सुनाने जा रहा हूँ। गाने का नाम है फिर वो ना आया सवेरा मेरा।
फिर वो ना आया सवेरा मेरा, फिर जिंदगी में ठहरी है रात। फिर वो ना आया सवेरा मेरा, फिर जिंदगी में ठहरी है रात। सपनों का बिखरा बसेरा मेरा, सपनों का बिखरा बसेरा मेरा, लफ्जों में उलझी गहरी है बात। फिर वो ना आया सवेरा मेरा, फिर जिंदगी में ठहरी है रात। कैसे कटेंगी रातें मन कैसे बहलाए, सातों जहां में सुन ले कोई मेरी फरियादें। कैसे कटेंगी रातें, मन कैसे बहलाए, सातों जहां में सुन ले कोई मेरी फरियादे, पिया रे जीऊं रे कैसे मैं कहूं, फिर वो ना आया सवेरा मेरा, फिर जिंदगी में ठहरी है रात, फिर वो ना आया सवेरा मेरा, फिर जिंदगी में ठहरी है रात।
और कुछ भी गाने हैं हमारा जो सरप्राइज रहा, वो ऑडियंस को सुनने को मिलेगा जरूर।
मानस के ये चुने हुए गानों का सरप्राइज जरूर सुनेंगे कुछ ही देर में। अब थोड़ा गपशप हो जाए निहारिका के साथ। Niharika Bhasin's entry into the field of costume and style was not a planned one. She was in her late 30s, already with an experience in corporate setup and her own jewelry venture when she was offered her first project Khoya Khoya Chand by Sudhir Mishra in 2007. The dilemma, the apprehensions followed. But soon she made a name for herself. She won the National Award for Best Costume Design for the Dirty Picture. Band Baja Barat and The Dirty Picture got her IFA awards in a row. Other Best Costume Design awards include Guild Award for Band Baja Barat, Screen Award for The Dirty Picture, and Stardust Award for Bombay Velvet. Today, this girl from Jamshedpur has become the creative force behind bringing several characters alive on screen. To add, the looks she gives to her characters inspire millions of Bollywood fans to follow their styles. Be it the salwar kameez worn by Anushka Sharma, the sari draped by Vidya Balan, or the glasses worn by Rajnikant. Thank you so much, Niharika, for coming to the Jampot Adda today. Not many people know, the people behind the characters we see on screen, and you're one of those names who create the Shruti Kakkars, Bittu Sharmas, Rosies, Reshmas, Aryan Gaurav through their looks. And these are the looks and styles that millions of Bollywood fans feel inspired to follow. So I'm sure this conversation is something that all our viewers are looking forward to.
Thanks, Sukanya. Thank you for having me. I'm really actually thrilled. I get really excited about anything Jamshedpur. So this is an honor for me. Thank you.
Great. So Niharika, a little bit on your journey. So you were studying human resources and then a stint in PR, corporate life, and today one of Bollywood's most successful costume designers. How did the switch happen?
By fluke, like everything else in my life. My children will make me sound like a complete hippie, but I believe that things come to you and either you take them on or you don't. And when I was asked to be a costume designer, I actually laughed at it. And I was like, no, are you kidding? You want my brother? He studied it. He spent, whole education on it. Me, I've just, I'm just sitting doing jewelry, enjoying, what I do. And everyone is like, Sam, my friend, was like, hey, no, you've got to do it. And so Sudhir Mishra, who was my director at that point, turned around and said, listen, get on it, come on my show, my movie. And I called Arjun because, of course, he is the guide to all costume for me. And he was like, listen, you do everything. Everything's an adventure for you. You go ahead. If somebody told you to jump off Mount Everest, you do it. So why aren't you taking this on? And it really made me think. And it really made me think about my personality and who I am. And that's true. I don't, everything's an adventure. Everything is something that I want to do. So I took it on. And I really enjoyed it. And I have to say that it worked for me as a single parent with my kids, to have that time, to have my own time, to have my own, of course, financial freedom and to be able to do all that. So yeah, so that's how I started. It was just fluke. Sam Sharma came to my house and said, "Listen, I think you should do Sudhir Mishra's film. I'm the associate on it. Do it." And I was like, "No, no, no." And in fact, Sudhir came to my house. I keep saying this to everyone. One day, someone's going to give me a slap. Sudhir, he came over for coffee, and Sam was like, "This is the girl I'm talking about," and all. And he was like, "Why aren't you taking this on?" And I was like, "Are you kidding? I'll up your film. I'm not a costume designer." And he looks at Sam and he says, "Hire her. She tells the truth. We need those in this industry." And I was like, "You can't hire me for telling the truth. You have to hire me for doing a job." But, I think also from our generation of people, if somebody puts that kind of trust in you, you have to not let them down. And I truly believe that. So I really wanted to do a great job for him. And for myself, of course, I was trying to get a career. I was trying to prove myself. Um, for me, I think one of the most important things is once I started working was why I was working, what I wanted to achieve, what kind of legacy I wanted to leave behind. All those kinds of things were important. So with Sudhir had given me a very, very good film to work on. It was a period film. It was a beautiful film, and I really respected that. So I didn't want to let him down.
Any apprehensions, learnings you want to share from your first project, which was kind of, absolutely a new area for you that you went into?
Lots, huge challenges, huge learnings. I also, I started a career at 39. I wasn't a spring chicken. I wasn't someone who was starting early, and I definitely knew that I had to prove myself. So for me, that was really important, is to prove myself as a costume designer, not just as someone, and to then show everyone that I could do it. If I was going to do this, if you take on something, you have to do it really well, or don't do it at all, according to me. So it was that. So it was just getting that together and doing it and saying, come on, let's get it done. So yeah, lots of learnings. I didn't know about fabric. I didn't know about. I'm not a designer. Um, I keep telling people I'm not a designer today. I can't say that because I'm a costume designer. But yeah, I didn't know anything about fashion designing. I didn't know how to cut clothes. I didn't know what textiles were. I didn't know, just the basic that you normally know. And being in Jamshedpur, it's great fun because in our time also, we didn't have tailors and designers and stuff happening. We had one nude tailor who used to come to your house. You'd give him the pattern, you'd show him what to do, or you'd give him a dress and say, "Isko bana do, aise karo, wo karo, add this, do this," which I think was also a big, huge learning for me in costume, because I had that backing. I had that going for me. I wasn't the retail generation where we just went into a store and picked up something. So, yeah, I had that backing for me, which was great. Lots of learning, lots of knowing how to deal with people, a lot of uh, hierarchy, learning the hierarchy, learning what to do. I'm not a person who, I just believe we are all working together for the same project. And, when you get to a film set, you realize that, okay, not everyone thinks like you. Not everyone is as, um, so yeah, so there was a lot of learning on that project. It was phenomenal. I also feel blessed because I had a lot of people helping me out. I had Soha, who was in my film, and her mother was Sharmila Tagore. So Sharmila took me under her wing, taught me which saris they wore, what they did. My ex-husband's uncle is Dilip Kumar, so his entire pitara of photographs we tried to get through. My ex-mother-in-law was Begum Para, so her pictures, those were a little older than what we were looking at, but and then Wahida Rahman, who was a really good friend of my mother's. So this whole Bollywood, um, old Bollywood, which I didn't know anything about Bollywood. Like we watched clubs at Beldy Club or Nagraj Hotel. And every once in a while, we got to see something like I saw Mughal Azam, or I saw, and it was either an English movie or a Hindi movie. So we really didn't have that kind of culture. So I didn't even know um, these people as celebrities. For me, my biggest celebrity at that point was Amitabh Bachchan. So it was really great having these stalwarts and these amazing people just come out photographs and hearts and their lives and teach me. So I was, yeah, it was great. It was a great blessing. It was lovely to have that.
Right. So dressing up stars or creating those characters on screen is not an easy task. So till date, which have been your most challenging projects, and what are some of your favorites?
I always say this. They're all challenging. Like I said, when I started doing film, one of my biggest intentions was that I would be a costume designer, which means that I could costume anything. Anything that was given to me in whatever budget and whatever thing I could do, because that's what you do as a costume designer. You put it together, you visualize it, you see it as it is, you realize every slot, and you go ahead with that. So yeah, it was really exciting for me to have that behind me and not do something that was similar to what I had done. So my first four films, let's say, so Koya Koya Chando's period, which was very lucky because I feel like now that I'm in the industry, you don't get period films that easy. Then I did Rangrasya, which was also a period film, which was great research and the look into Raja Ravi Verma's life. And again, with a stalwart director, an amazing person, Ketan Mehta. So that was lovely. And my third film was Rock On, which is actually the film at that point that made me really nervous and challenged me because I had not done a contemporary film. Both the other films that I had done were period films. So that was very challenging, and it was amazing. It was Abhishek Kapoor's second film, and it was with Excel Films, who were friends of mine, Farhan, Aduna, Zoya, the whole lot. So it was really exciting to feel like I was working with friends, and it was Farhan's first debut as an actor. Um, so it was all those really exciting things, and it was a lot of fun. It was to make something look cool, and then my fourth film was Delhi Belly. So so again, after Rock On happened, I think a lot of people were calling saying, "Hey, let's do, you know, not a band film, but four boys films, do this thing." And I was like, okay, I just want to do something that's a little different. And then Delhi Belly came on, which was so exciting as a film script. Um, Again, it was offered, I think, to my brother, and then they were like, okay, it's not working out. Why don't you try Niharika instead? So that was super exciting for me. Um, and yeah, so as my legacy, I always feel like I want to do films, at least not in the near future, that are identical or seem similar to what I've done. Now, of course, my body of work is a lot, so there's always going to be stuff that you've done or you're redoing or something. But again, I try not to. I try to make it different. I try to, because every story is different. Every creation of what you're trying to create is different. Um, you know, so those are things that I like to bring into what I do. So,
Right. So that's a kind of an array of experience that you got with different kind of films and scripts and characters.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've done a lot. I've done a lot of work now. Like I said, I was 39 when I started a career. So for me, I really had to prove myself. So I was really taking on a lot of work because I really wanted to make sure that people's eyes were on the costume and looking at it. And Arjun had already broken into the foray of doing full films, So that was really exciting for me because I do full films. I like to, you know, maybe it's just following my brother's footsteps, so it's all I know. I don't know, either or. But yeah, it's so exciting being able to create that look for that character, for that person, and to be able to fit it into what, because you're going into somebody else's head. You're going into the director's head. You've got, your DOP who's doing the lighting, who knows what it should look like, not the style of it, but what the style of the film will be, the colors, the lighting, so to add to that, and your production designer doing things, to see how it's like how you fit into the room you're sitting in. Is that your personality, or is it supposed to be that it's not your personality, or what does that entail, or whatever? So it's super exciting, and it's for me it's always challenging. So when you say what are the challenging, I don't think, I think they all are. Everything brings out a challenge in you because you're researching, you're finding out, you're going through somebody, like accountants, um, different regions of India, where they come from, what they're doing, who they are, what the economic bracket is, what they'll, how they'll try to portray themselves in their style. So it's always a challenge. It's always, you're always trying to figure out how to do it differently, how to come up with something, and how to be true to your form, to what you do.
Right. So, when you walk into a social gathering and you see men and women, talk about what Anushka wore in Band Baja Barat or Vidya Balan wore in Dirty Picture, typical scenarios like, "Arey, मैंने तो वो अनुष्का वाली सलवार कमीज सिलवाई," or, "मैंने तो विद्या बालन की पर्पल साड़ी ली है." What's your reaction? Any incidents you remember that make you laugh, or, you had to tap onto their shoulders and say, "Well, वो idea मेरा था वो dress का." So anything,
You know,
kind of.
I'd never do that. I've always wanted to. I wish I had the guts to do it, but it makes you chuckle. It's always. I was sitting on a flight once, and I walked to go to the bathroom, and three people were watching PETA, the Rajinikanth's movie that I've done, and I was just like, "Yay! I've done that movie! Yay!" It just makes you feel like there's a sense of accomplishment to what you've done, So it's really cool, and then you hear people talking about it, and like you said, I have friends who've called me to say, um, you know. Uh, we stopped and watched Band Baja Barat right through. We just kept watching the clothes. And after we saw the movie, we went back and we liked this outfit. And, it's super exciting for me because, now the world has changed where you can pick up things from people and you can do stuff that is. But earlier you had to make everything yourself. And there are times, not even earlier, there are times that I don't have the budget and I have to make it myself, and my assistants and I have to come together and make something. Or we go to a designer. I don't have my own workshops, so I'm always looking for people who can do stuff for me. So I'll go to a friend who's a designer and I'll be like, "Hey, can you help us out? Can you make this for us? Or hey, can you do this?" And because it's always what's in my head is not easily transferable to someone else. So there are a lot of times I can pick up stuff from designers and stuff. There are a lot of times that I modify stuff from designers because I don't want it in that manner, but I like what they do, but I want to turn it into something that I want it to. So that is really exciting. Um, so yeah, it is a super kick in the pants, when you hear that, or somebody will come up to you and be like, because I'm behind the scenes. I don't want to be, you know, I'm not the kind of person who wants to be recognized and be famous. Always exciting when someone, especially completely out of the blue, is like, "Hey, aren't you?" And the other thing that I get irritated with also, because people don't know the difference, but they're like, "Oh, aren't you a fashion designer?" And I'm like, "No, I'm a costume designer." But yeah, there are all those things that are that are exciting. I like the first time I saw my film on big screen, because you know what you've done, but then you see it all come together, and you're just like, it's a whole, it's just a whole different thing. Like I said, I'm used to Jamshedpur and Peldi Club and sitting in that, in our little seats and waiting for it to happen, and you suddenly realize um, the work that goes in, because you're putting in the work, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't even notice that. So yeah, so it is a kick when you sit there and you watch the whole thing unfold in front of you. And I remember when after Band Baja Barat, Manish came up to me and he said, listen, Niharika, I have to talk to you. And I was like, yeah. He's like, is there something wrong? And I was like, no, why? He said, you're the only person who's not come up to me and said what a great movie it is, or, you liked it, or, there's something, or you haven't said anything. And I said, Manish, that's because I'm looking at my work. I'm not looking at yours. I said, when I see the movie tomorrow, I'll tell you about the movie. Because I'm looking at it saying, oh, that color was wrong. Oh, I should have changed that. Oh my God, that person should have had that. Oh, wow, that looks really good. We should note to self. So yeah, so it's all that. So it is exciting when you have that kind of feedback coming at you. And it doesn't have to be from, you know, at a party and someone saying, but yeah, my tailor from Dirty Picture always sends me a message. And now I find it difficult to even get him to make blouses for me, because he'll turn on and he'll be like, Madam, आपने कितना किया, मैं famous हो गया हूँ गुजरात में. And I was like, okay. But yeah, so those kinds of things are really exciting, to know that you've given someone work like that, that they are being appreciated in their villages, and in their, my other fabric guy or my tailor will come and tell me a story of how somebody said something to him. And those are the exciting things that are. And other people don't, there are people who don't, costume is the last rung on the chain. So unless, you know that you like that outfit, but you don't know who's done it or what. The one thing that I get a lot of is a lot of, like, now, of course, with Instagram and all, people are messaging me and saying, where do you get that dress, or where did you get that, or where did that shirt that Arjun Rampal wore in Heroine, or what. But I get a lot of like, hey, this is Rajnikant's glasses, where did you get them, and which one is it? Rajnikant's glasses are a big like fan following. People really want to know where those glasses came from, and so that's really cute. And it's cute knowing some random person is trying to get a hold of you,
Right.
and so it's nice. Those are nice things.
Right. In fact, in Shakuntala, the saris that you made Vidya Balan wear are so good. In fact, the one on the poster, the one in red, oh my God, it's super. The sari is just so super.
That's my mother's sari, and it's an
Really?
original from the 70s. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's her sari. We've just redone it and re-put it together. But yeah, but yeah, a lot of saris. I do go into my mother's closet. I'm really lucky to have my mother's closet, because she really has some beautiful saris, and she used to work in the Bank of India in Jamshedpur, so she had to wear her cotton saris and her saris to work. So she had all of that, and then and everyone did dress up in Jamshedpur. They're not. I find it, maybe culturally we've stopped dressing up as much, but yeah, at that point people did dress up. So I do have that vast, thing to look at and see and say, hey, yeah, that did come from there. But it's nice. So yeah, so a lot of Shakuntala saris were my mom's. In fact, she sent a message, Vidya sent a message to my mother saying, they're beautiful, I love them, can I have them? My mom's like, yeah. Saris have become so expensive. It's unbearable now. Sorry. It's unbearable how expensive saris have become. And I'm not used to that. I'm not used to saris have become really expensive. And I'm not used to, even when I budget for a film, my assistants will come and say, and what do you mean? That's not the price of the sari. I just look at it today and I'm like, oh my God, I would never be able to go out and buy saris for like 25 grand and 30 grand for a sari. I'm just like, but they're beautiful. Some brands are beautiful saris that you can get. but they're really expensive, you know. So it's crazy. Like, why would I spend 25-30 grand on a sari unless it's for an occasion, when I could go and buy like t-shirts and jeans to wear every day, which is as comfortable, you know. So it's difficult. But the Emporium saris are really nice, and some of the pricing is really amazing on those.
Right, right. Normally, all creative people do face a creative block. So, how do you get out of it, and how do you get your dose of inspiration whenever you're into that kind of a phase when your brains are completely like not working? You want to work on a design, but it's completely you cannot concentrate.
um I think I have my crew that starts beating me up and says, come on, we have to do it. But I don't know. I it's rare that that happens. Um, I I think we work project to project. So what happens is it's really great because you do have time to leave. And sometimes I'm doing two projects once, so I'm leaving that to come back to that, so I have perspective on what I'm doing. You know, if I didn't have perspective, maybe that would be a far bigger thing. And the thing is that whenever that happens, you just have to research a little more. You know, you just have to get into it a little more. You have to understand it a little more. There are lots of times when we've done presentations where we've sat and done it and worked like a dog, and I look at it, I'm like, I hate it, and we have to give it the next day, and we have to, again sit up all night and go back to the drawing board and rechange everything and redo it. That's happened quite a few times. I'm really lucky because I don't have, I have, you can get, there's so many different projects that you could be working on. So you're not only on one. And whenever you get that mental block, you just have to go. The great thing is I'm working with people. So if I have a mental block, say, and I am doing Kai Poche and it's about the Banya in Gujarat and I need to figure out, then I'll call friends and be like, hey, do you have any family members there? Do they work in this? Do they do this? So, the great thing is that I do have a wide variety of people that I can dip into and do. And, the great thing, and I keep coming back because this is Jamshedpur, and I feel like everyone turns around to me and says, oh, you seem to know everyone. But, coming from Jamshedpur, coming from Sana, having that kind of background with your boarding school and a small town that you come from, you have the wealth of people that, you've encountered so many different people, um, and you've encountered people that, you can just call up. You could call up your old teachers, you could call up your old friends and say, hey, do you know someone who lives here? Or if I know someone, my friends are, Bengali, I'll be calling them up and say, hey, do you know this? There was, you're always doing characters that are regional, that are from certain places. What is the fabric? What is the background? What would they wear? What would your grandfather wear when he went to bed at night? What would he wear in the day if he was this kind of person, or what kind of person? So that wealth of knowledge I have, and that, you dip into, and you can go and say, okay, let's figure that out from there. So my creative blocks are a little different in that manner. And once you do that and you have your color palette and you know what you're going to do, then you know what kind of clothes you want to put them to, what kind of accessories, what they'll wear. Why would they wear, a silver ring instead of a gold ring? Why would they wear something, who are they? And what are you trying to portray with them? Are they religious? Are they just stylish? Are they not? Are they straight-laced? And how that relates. So that is an understanding. And luckily I studied psychology, so I keep saying that all this has come together to make me who I am, because it's really exciting to be able to know that you can dig into those aspects to get out what you need. So it's not like doing fashion or doing something where you're on the creative block and you're like, oh shit, I don't know how to, because I know how to go back to get to the point that I want to get to.
Right, right.
So that fortunately is not. What does happen is you get burnt out, and I don't realize that I'm burnt out. That is a big thing, because there's constant work happening, and you don't know how much you're doing, because your brain is just like, you know. So when that happens, then you're just like, oh, now what? You know, that's what happens. And for me, it's my workout. It's my, you know, it's just who I am, so that you can rejuvenate yourself
Sure.
in that manner. So yeah, burnout is far greater for me as I see it than a creative block, because creative blocks you can get over.
You're right, because the kind of work that you do is so intensive, getting into the character and the lifestyle of people that the character, represents. So it's quite a, you know, very intensive piece of work, and you can't get wrong. Like you mentioned about the gold and the silver ring, you can't go wrong in those things. Living in Jamshedpur, did you have interest in fashion, costumes, or was it just like, regular small town girl growing up following the trend of the times?
We did a lot of stuff, because my mom was in charge of the Steel City, or Renu Mattu was. So we always did stuff, and you'd always see people. And like I said, everyone had to make their own costumes. They had to do their own, sets. Everything had to be done by the one person, or had to figure out how to get it done. Um, so I think that culture has stayed. I think there was just like I said, it's amazing how much it taught me, and like I really feel like I lived in some like little utopia that wasn't related to all of India, or wasn't. I don't know. It's a really strange little town that I feel like sometimes I can't explain to people, because it was. I didn't know where garbage disposal went. I didn't, for us, the slag dump used to be such an exciting time to see the whole sky light up. No, no, now we know that it's probably a health hazard. But, for us growing up as kids, those were such prominent memories and visuals for me, um, that was just amazing to have grown up with, um, even besides the fact that generationally we didn't have, I remember when we got our first VCR. I remember when, you know, the world is talking about watching, these people are like, oh, but you didn't see Ramayana. Or I didn't. TV wasn't such a big thing. The big thing was like running around. And I remember those little velvet red insects that used to be all over the grass, and I used to catch them, and the fireflies, and those are the things that I really remember. I remember jumping off the first floor in Sacred Heart Convent and making the sisters faint, and stuff like that. Or running away with the school bus. Just taking it out of the thing and driving it out, and getting into so much trouble for that. There were lots of things that I remember that were crazy stuff that we did as kids, and and was lovely as kids. My I have a very, very strong exercise routine. I feel the need to work out. I feel the need to, and not for, I'm not vanity or not, just because I grew up with it. I grew up with like Premchand Dhingra, the guy who was Mr. Universe. When I look at it, or Mr. Who used to carry me in that palanquin when we did the shows, or who used to be there in the little gym, that smelly little Keenan Stadium gym that we used to work out in. And I used to go running, and I knew all these guys, and it wasn't such a big deal. They were helping you out. They were doing. Now, when I look at it, and I'm like, wow, that is the kind of influences we had. We had all the sports teams come into play, so you knew who they were. The cricketers were just part and parcel of hanging around in Tata Diamond Steel. So I think my exercise culture has come from there. My work culture has come from there. My uh, maybe I don't know so much about the world, because I just feel like, oh, we just it just happened in Jamshedpur. The electricity just happened, garbage disposal just happened. There were amazing things about the town that that one will never forget. And growing up there was a treat. My friends, my people, it was lovely. Every day playing squash in the evenings, going to have that club culture of all of us going to hang out at Golmuri Club, and you know just playing squash every evening. My parents didn't even have to ask where we were. They knew that we'd be at the club, or they'd call the club and be like, "Ha, baby, to yahan hai." It was just like that. So yeah, I have great fond memories and great learnings and great ethics and values that have come from me. And like I said, I think one of the biggest thing was people, learning how to deal with people, and that was a very big thing for me. And I never knew what class, what they were just all our friends. We all hung out together, and it didn't matter where you're from. I don't even remember asking people like if which region they were from, or we were all from Jamshedpur. It didn't matter, you know. So yeah, those are some of my good memories.
At a very young age, exposed to different cultures, it actually shaped the way we are today. And
Yeah,
the work that you do, especially where you have to build characters, make or create characters, this helps for you to understand if
absolutely. I keep telling people I used to go. My parents wouldn't come even, but my brothers and I would go next door to Mrs. Kumaraswamy's house every Sunday to eat dosas and idlis. We would, Maddie's mom would always send stuff to us because my mother and Maddie's mom used to work in the bank together. So, it's really funny because he tells people how he actually used to wear my old jeans. Because, we would all exchange clothes, and if it didn't fit me, oh, it fits Maddie, it doesn't matter. So it was just all of us being together. Sarvadeep's mom used to get me achar, and it was the culture. It was growing up with these people and hanging out in their homes and being with them and knowing how to deal with everyone. And like you said, it was multicultural. It was amazing. I just felt like I said, I didn't know who everyone was. And now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, that's why Mrs. Kumaraswamy dressed like that. Or that's why Mr. Kumaraswamy would come out in his, veshti, which I didn't know till Rajnikant told me what that word was. So stuff like that. It's amazing how you got to interact with that many amazing kind of people.
how would you describe your own fashion style? Has that evolved when you look back? Do you laugh at what you wore then when you were
Oh
growing
my
up?
God, yes. Oh God, we thought we were really fashionable at that time when we look back. Like I said, we had to make our own clothes. So whatever you got, or if you were really lucky and that cousin of yours was coming from abroad, and they would bring you something fancy, and so that was yeah. So I do look back at it, and I do look back at, and you were a slave to fashion at that point. You were a slave to what was happening, and you wanted to make it, and you wanted to try it out, and you didn't have hair color, you didn't have a good hairdresser. Even you had to go to Calcutta to get your hair cut. So everything was like in house, everything. So it's amazing how we were even fashionable, or even we had. I don't think we were. I think we thought we were, but we totally weren't. But yeah, there was you looked at your aunts, and the people who were dressing up around you, and you looked at their clothes and you were like, wow. Or look at those saris and look at where they come from and how beautiful they were. um, yeah, so you did get to appreciate and see, and all kinds of different styles and cultures, and you imbibe stuff, I think, and then you let it filter into your personality, and then you start figuring out what suits you, or what you want to be like, or what is your persona through your clothing. So yeah, so it does. And I look back at a lot. I also look back at a lot of stuff that and use it for my film. I have to tell you that my aunt Silla Gandhi, who used to live next door to us, um, she had um, she had a lot of girls, but her girls were totally not interested. I was obviously interested in clothes and things, because I used to keep borrowing stuff from her, because my mother was simple, her saris and her things, and now it's a little more Western, but it was all about her saris and her salwar kameez and how you go to the bank, and Silla had like Western clothes, and she, the Parsi in her, and so I'd keep taking her clothes, and when she'd have hand me downs, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, me, and I still have them. I still have stuff. Like, it's amazing how sentimental we are. And I've traveled the world. I've lived in different cities. I've lived in different places. But there's some things that you hold on to, and I know the things that Silla has given me that are so important to me. That also I look back at, and when I'm designing stuff, when you're designing stuff, I go back to, okay, what did Silla wear? What did Havovi wear? Or what did Putliant wear when she came over? Odette, when Odette went to church, because she'd go to church every Sunday. So obviously she was, Christian or Catholic or whatever she was. I didn't know, really, but I knew she went to church. So what would she wear when she went to church, and what? So all those things do shape up and make who you are. And so yeah, it does. I have yeah, there definitely has been, your everyone grows into your style and your comfort and what your profession and where you're at. I don't, when I was like you said, in PR and stuff, I had to wear skirt suits, and it's not my style at all, but I wore it, and you get things that fit your style in that state. So yeah, it's and I know how I grew, and that's why I think I know, when I study my characters, also how they would behave and grow, and how they would choose their clothes. Like I said, for years and years and years, I think in my head, my mother told me I had very bad legs, so I never wore dresses except on like occasions, and then I'd wear them tight or something. But in your head, something stays, and it's that weird click. And like when I talk to my mother, she's like, I never said that to you, but it's just what it is. And and so yeah, and today I wear a lot of like dresses. I'm in Goa. I'm wearing a lot of dresses, which I normally wouldn't do. So there is that change of you, the oscillation of where you are and at what point you are at, and what age you're at, and what career you're in, or athletic clothes I really like, because I like being athletic. I like being able to say, okay, I'm in Bombay somewhere, and I'll be like, I'll walk home, so I know I have to have my kids on all the time. So there are those things, and I think those are the things that also trigger me when I'm working, because I know how I reacted and worked in that situation. So yeah.
In terms of any memories of shopping or buying stuff, accessories, clothes in Jamshedpur, because it is still a very small town. Today, of course, you have a mall, you have all the brands there, but in the 80s or even the late 70s, very limited stuff, and we had very limited places to go and pick up
Yeah.
fabric also. Any memories of those days?
Oh my God, I have major memories of those days of Bistapur and running around Bistapur. I knew every shop in Bistapur. I knew when I got to the gold chakkar at the bottom on the left hand side was my silversmith, and he used to be so angry with me because Meeta Mattu was my best friend growing up, and we were together every day, all the time together. And Meeta and I would go into his shop and say, "Ye nikalo," and then he'd take out something, and I said, "No, no, I want to see the box that's under your." And he's like, "Please, baby, क्या कर रहे हो?" And I said, "नहीं नहीं वो दिखाओ मुझे." And then I'd take it out and I'd pull out things and I'd be like, "Can you fix this? And how much would it cost to fix this?" And I remember for her 18th birthday, I made her a little gold bracelet, and so I think your creativity gets built when you're doing those kinds of things. And I remember all the shops. I remember going inside to go into the area where you got the little sequins and the little beads and your bugle beads, and ye dalo aur ye karo aur isko dena padega, and where you got your sari ka fall ka fabric, so that could be used for lining if you needed it for anything else. And I knew all my shops, I knew all those places, and I'm sure I used to irritate them to death because I was like, no, not this. And at that point, you really also didn't have money, and you behaved like you were so, garib. You were just like, nahi, nahi, ye nahi, 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 ye bahut mehenga hai, ye de do. When you're younger, you're constantly looking for new things. And I think that's what also teaches you, because if you have the money and you know what you're going to pick up and you know what you're going to do, then you don't know how that build up is and how exciting it is to find new things. You find new things that you can do. So yeah, it's I remember all those shops. I remember going, and my biggest excitement at the end of that was to go to Fakira Chanachur and eat Fakira Chanachur. Till date, when anyone's coming from Jamshedpur, they're like, what do you want? I was like, Fakira Chanachur, bhejo, please. So it's that. Yeah, I remember all of it. It's amazing. And ice cream. I remember that Natraj used to have the only place that you could eat ice cream, and in the movie theater. And oh my God, how exciting was that? I used to tell the Tom, because they were friends of my parents, I'd be like, ice cream here. My biggest excitement was like, we got ice cream. So yeah, I remember all of it. And I don't know how different it is today, because I've been once, I think now 15, 18 years ago. But yeah, my memories are very vivid and small town.
So, Niharika, if there was one word you would describe Jamshedpur, what would that be?
Like I said, utopia.
Right.
A little utopia. I cannot, unless you're from Jamshedpur, I cannot explain it to you. I cannot explain to you what my background was, because it seems like it was so different from big cities, from small towns, from villages, from anything that I have encountered today. When I try to explain to people what it was like, I don't know how to. And I don't know how to get them to equate to even another city in the country. Um, and like I say, when I tell people I'm from Bihar, and they were just like, no, you are not, But I was from Bihar. It was right in smack in the center of Bihar at that point, and Tata Nagar was our train station. We get on and off. So, but I would just call it a little utopia. I don't know how else to describe it. Like I said, today I think about where the garbage is going and where this thing is going, which you didn't think about who picked up your garbage, where your garbage went. It was the cleanest city I'd ever seen. I'd never seen anything. So when people said, oh, even when I went abroad to study, and people were like, oh, is India really dirty? And my first reaction is like, no, because I'm just like, it's not. Jamshedpur is not. We had water all the time. You could drink tap water. You could, there were things that, and people are like, you lived in a foreign city, or so there is no way I can explain to them that I lived in India, in Bihar. So it's like Xanadu. It's like going to a place where people don't go to, and realizing how amazing this place is. So yeah, I don't know how different it is, and I don't know, but it for me was incredible. Jubilee Park with the fountains in the center, and the jhalmuri wala who come and give you your jhalmuri, and So for me, people are just like, where were you in Bihar? But yeah, so it was amazing.
Yes.
Dalma and Dimna, and going for picnics to that, and having those. I don't know how to explain how beautiful and how enriching it has been for me growing up.
Before we end, Niharika, do you want to quickly tell the viewers about your upcoming projects that we'd like to keep track of and say, oh, that's Niharika?
I have a lot of exciting stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff coming up. We just shot in Goa during COVID. We shot a music video for Divine, which did really well on the charts and everything. So people keep saying stop behaving like no lady and not knowing the charts, but it's lovely. So yeah, lots of exciting things. I like doing different things, and I like doing exciting things. So anything that comes my way, I've got 3 very interesting web series that I really am keen to do, which are going to be my first few web series that I do. So I'm excited about that. I don't know when film will happen again. I have 2 films signed, but I don't know when they'll start. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and you'll always see me somewhere or the other. You'll see my name somewhere doing some nonsense stuff. I keep trying to do stuff. I love doing stuff, so it doesn't matter whether it's some styling or a smaller film or larger film. We just did mental health film with Abhay Deol here, which was lovely. So that's going to come on the IG platform. So that'll be interesting when it comes out. So yeah, fun stuff.
Good. So that's the end, Niharika, of our chat, and thank you so much. Having you on the Adda has been such a delight for us. What you do requires a lot of creativity, sensitivity to create the character visually. Not everyone understands that, because when we see the stars on the screen, we don't realize what goes behind creating those characters. And it's talents like yourself who give them the life and give them the identity, I would say, that we see them as, be it, the Bittu Sharmas or the Shruti Kakkars, we see them as that, thanks to all of you who are working behind the scenes. So wish you all the best and look forward to your project.
Thank you. That makes me feel really happy. My team will be happy too that you guys are actually concentrating on costume. Thank you.
That was Niharika Bhasin for you, one of Bollywood's biggest stylists of the modern times. I'm sure you enjoyed the Adda that was as refreshing and peppy as her. Our best wishes with Niharika. We move back to Manas for his songs. पेश करेंगे अब वो कुछ लोकप्रिय गाने, तेरी दीवानी, मितवा और कल हो ना हो. Over to you, Manas.
प्रीत की लत मोहे ऐसी लागी, हो गई मैं मतवारी, बल बल जाऊं अपने पिया को, ये मैं जाऊं वारी वारी, मोहे सुध बुध नाए रही तन मन की, ये तो जाने दुनिया सारी, बेबस और लाचार फिरू मैं, हारी मैं दिल हारी, हारी मैं दिल हारी. तेरे नाम से जी लूं, तेरे नाम से मर जाऊं, तेरे जाने के सदके मैं कुछ ऐसा कर जाऊं, तूने क्या कर डाला, मर गई मैं, मिट गई मैं, हो जी हाँ जी हो गई मैं, तेरी दीवानी दीवानी, तेरी दीवानी दीवानी, तेरी दीवानी दीवानी. मैं रंग रंगीली दीवानी, मैं अलबेली रुत मस्तानी, गाऊं बजाऊं सबको रिझाऊं, मैं दिल दूशरम से बेगानी, मैं दीवानी मैं दीवानी, तेरा नाम से जी लूं, तेरे नाम से मर जाऊं, तेरे जान के सदके मैं कुछ ऐसा कर जाऊं, तूने क्या कर डाला, मर गई मैं, मिट गई मैं, हो जी हाँ जी, हो गई मैं तेरी दीवानी, दीवानी तेरी दीवानी, दीवानी तेरी दीवानी, दीवानी। मेरे मन ये बता दे तू किस ओर चला है तू, क्या पाया नहीं तूने, क्या ढूंढ रहा है तू, जो है इन कहीं, जो है इन सुने, वो बात क्या है बता। मितवा कहे धड़कने तुझसे क्या, मितवा ये खुद को तू ना तू छुपा। गबनी नी सा नी सा नी सा, गबनी नी 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 दा नी दा दबा 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 दमागा। हाँ जीवन डगर में, डगर में, डगर में, प्रेम नगर में, नगर में, जीवन डगर में, प्रेम नगर में, आया नजर में जब से कोई है, तू सोचता है, तू पूछता है, जिसकी कमी थी क्या ये वही है, हाँ ये वही है, हाँ ये वही है। तू एक प्यासा वर ये नजी है, काहे कोई अपने को ऐसे तरसा, ये जो है कहीं, जो है अनसुने, वो बात क्या है बता। मितवा कहे धड़कने तुझसे क्या, मितवा ये खुद को तू ना तू छुपा। जानिए हेरिए, जानिए हेरिए, जानिए हेरिए, जानिए हेरिए। हर घड़ी बदल रही है धूप जिंदगी, छाँव है कहीं, कहीं है धूप जिंदगी, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो न हो, पलकों के लेखे साए, पास कोई जो आए, लाख संभालो पागल दिल को, दिल धड़के ही जाए, इस पल है जो, वो पल है जो, वो दास्तां कल हो न हो। हर घड़ी बदल रही है धूप जिंदगी, छाँव है कहीं, कहीं है धूप जिंदगी, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो न हो।
हर घड़ी बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी, छाँव है कभी, कभी है धूप जिंदगी, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो. These lines have never been so relevant. Thank you, Manas, for the fantastic covers of the popular hits. आपके आने वाले म्यूजिक प्रोजेक्ट्स का इंतजार रहेगा हम सबको. With that, we come to an end of another episode. Keep watching the space for details of the next episode on December 19th, a Christmas special one. Till then, stay safe and best wishes from Team Jampot Adda. Bye-bye.